Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. It has been a while since I have made a video with the surface. I have just gotten back from the honeymoon, by the way. Terribly sorry for those prank videos where you're just looking at the door. It was gonna, you know, accumulate, whatever the term is, um, with there being like an empty chair for like 10 seconds, and then I was gonna say, no, we're not doing that anymore. But there were some. I don't have the phone that I use to make the videos anymore, so I got to use the Surface today. I did get a new phone, haven't set it up yet, but yeah, I'm kind of having like a weird. It's kind of weird. Like when you first get back home, you're happy to be back home, but then you can't sleep. So this is kind of like a last minute video thing. But apparently, while I was gone, a lot of stuff went down with Instacart. And apparently, Instacart delivery drivers are striking now. If you have heard about this before, I understand, but this is because I have not been covering this. I think it's time for a little catch up. So, according to Fast Company, and I'm sorry I can't show the articles right now, that's just the way it is right now. Called Instacart delivery drivers are striking this week. Here's why. It writes, those 5 bags of groceries may take longer to get to you this week if drivers for grocery delivery service Instacart succeed in mounting a 3-day strike from November 3rd to November 5th to demand better pay. Now, here's what's interesting. Very similar strikes have been proposed for other companies, for Uber, for Lyft, for DoorDash, for Postmates, even to a certain extent for Amazon Flex. This is not a new idea per se. This is something that has been proposed over and over and over again. And the problem is it's just very difficult to get people to actually commit to doing this. They like making their money, they like working. I mean, I've done live protests and you just saw the Uber and Lyft drivers working away. Sometimes they honk in support, but I mean, they kept the app on, so it's very hard to convince people not to make money for a few days. I foresee a similar, I should say, situation with Instacart right now. And well, we're going to have to see what's going on. But the fact that this is the first time that this idea has been proposed and is actually being covered by a site like Fast Company, that's nothing to sneeze about. That shows that at least the word is getting out there. But anyway, the quotation marks are because the drivers known as shoppers in Instacart parlance are freelance gig workers. While there's no job to strike from, many have vowed to not accept assignments in an effort to slow the system down. Another thing that has been proposed many times, turn on the app and just simply not accept rides or food deliveries. Just let them pass. It always, in my opinion, goes to the person who's willing to accept it, and the system will eventually kick you off. This will time you out anyway for doing this, but Instacart says it has more than 130,000 shoppers in North America, so it's a long shot that strike organizers will rally enough people to make a dent in its business. And they have not, provided an estimate to how many people will participate. But the strike draws attention to complaints that span the gig economy. As pay declines from the salad days when startups paid generously to attract talent, workers are relying more on tips to make up the difference. Meanwhile, seeing how delivery costs add up, customers are less inclined to leave good tips. And here's the thing: there was an open letter written to. Let me make sure I have the right one. Well, let me just click this one because there's like a link here. But there was an open letter written to the founder and CEO of Instacart, and this is a very good letter. It's long, and unfortunately, because you can't see it, I have to read the whole thing. But it says, "Dear Apurva Mehta, on Sunday, November 3rd, 2019 through Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, Instacart shoppers will be walking off for the fourth consecutive year. These 3 days of action serve as a reminder that our work is absolutely indispensable to you and your company and central to the continuing daily operations of Instacart. There is no Instacart without your shoppers. You have a well documented history of unscrupulous actions against Instacart's shoppers. Shoppers around the country organized for the first time in September 2016 when Instacart announced it would remove tipping from the app's interface. Our 10% default tip was replaced with a sneaky and identical looking 10% service fee, which Instacart implied went directly to us workers. But of course, that was a lie and it didn't. We organized a walk-off in response to this maneuver, and you eventually responded by reinstating in-app tipping with one major caveat: that the service fee remained front and center during the checkout process. The option to properly tip, which you misleadingly referred to as an additional tip, was hidden. We walked off again in November 2017 when Instacart's dynamic commission-based pay model dropped so low that it resulted in some shoppers earning as little as $1 per hour. That, by the way, we have talked about in this channel. We caught you withholding shoppers' tips and overcharging customers via the service fee in February of 2018. After we crowdsourced the evidence and data of these manipulations, we were forced to apologize and return the misappropriated tips and charges to shoppers and customers alike. In September of 2018, you admitted that the Instacart needed to treat shoppers much, much better. You said, "We have made mistakes in the past and we have debt with our shoppers." Not even 2 months after proclaiming that improving Instacart's relationship with shoppers was a core focus of our company, you instituted the largest pay cut shoppers have ever sustained. You eliminated commission-based pay, which paid on an understandable and transparent per order per item basis in favor of pay determined by a black box algorithm. There was no longer understanding behind the amounts we were paid. Every bit of pay transparency and predictability we had vanished overnight. The algorithm which determined our pay had no tie to the time, difficulty, or number of the orders we experienced with each batch. To add insult to injury, your algorithm was programmed to adjust our base pay, Instacart's contributions to shopper earnings, downward with each dollar and each cent our customers tipped, resulting in tips no longer being real tips, but rather setting Instacart's contribution to our pay. I'm going to pause right there for a moment because you know what, this is kind of something that's been going on for a while. A lot was made of the fact that DoorDash was going to let Dashers keep 100% of their tips, but they changed the base fare model, which meant that effectively the tip stealing continues, just in another form. So there you go. So shoppers called for and maintained a perpetual soft strike against Instacart for over 2 months, refusing orders that fell under a reasonable pay floor. This soft strike disrupted and impacted Instacart's batching system wide to the extent that you could no longer guarantee batch fulfillment and delivery within 2 hours. Instacart responded by extending delivery windows to an unprecedented 5 hours, and still the company failed to fulfill and deliver orders in a timely manner, if they were fulfilled and delivered at all. I will say in this letter, I mean, they might be beating their tests a little bit more than they should. This is, as they say, you're assuming a lot. At the same time, I also know what the purpose of the letter is, and they're making really good points, even if we know they are probably declaring victory over things that might not 100% be related to them. There's frankly a lot of reasons Instacart might not be able to meet that demand. And so, yeah, strikers, that might be one of the reasons, but another reason could be a lot of people, frankly, quit after these pay cuts. And if enough people quit, that's not so much striking, that's just moving on, but continuing. By February 2019, you were once again forced to publicly apologize to shoppers and customers. You had to retroactively compensate us for our stolen tips and recalibrate your pay algorithm to remove tips as a determining factor when generating offers presented to shoppers. You released a public statement titled "Doing Right by Our Shoppers" while you simultaneously doubled down on this unreliable algorithm determined pay schedule and quietly rolled out another pay cut, which lowered minimum order batch guarantees by up to 30% from $10 to a measly $7 in all markets. Now, this next part of the letter is highlighted for some, so this must be the really important part. Every year we push back as our pay spirals further down the drain and Instacart's valuation swells by the billions and your net worth skyrockets. When will enough be enough? Because of your greed or inaction or lack of concern, shoppers now struggle to put food on the table and a roof over the family's heads. You have, oops, sorry, I skipped way too much. You have demonstrated a pattern of behavior as CEO of eviscerating our pay and pirating our tips. It would cost you, Apurva, absolutely nothing to restore our previous tip defaults to at least 10%. On the eve of our walk-off, you have yet to respond in any way to our demand. You have consistently demonstrated your deep-seated disdain for your workers. You won't even open the door to face those of us delivering your personal orders to your Lux Soma apartment. Understand this, you are the CEO, but we hold the power. We are highly organized and more agitated than ever. We stand fully committed to perpetually continue to utilize our collective power unless and until our demands are met. You launched 20 failed startups before Instacart. Whether this will be your first success or your 21st failure will in no small part hinge upon repairing your decaying relationship with shoppers. Restoring that relationship begins with Instacart acknowledging and meeting our needs and our demands. With the anger of thousands of shoppers in California's AB5 both looming overhead, the future of your company rests in your hands. Apurva. Signed, and there's a bunch of signatures. Like I really wish that I had my setup so that we could just look at all of this, but a lot of drivers willing to put their name on this open letter, which is very commendable because that makes them big targets for being deactivated and fired. Now, here's my response to the letter. It's a very well worded letter, and I do like it. Again, I think they might to a certain extent be overstating what of their importance. I think the fact that the customers were brought in on this early on, which is probably where the Uber and Lyft strikes failed, that forced Instacart to basically fold. And as we find out, they didn't so much as fold, they just tweaked. They tweaked so that they could essentially do the same thing that they were doing beforehand, just under a different banner. Now, this is not the only company to do this. Again, DoorDash has done this. And, you see Uber and Lyft doing this as well. The best example being we've heard that you value your time. We agree your time shall be valued. We're going to pay you more per minute. We're also, by the way, going to cut the mile rates, and you'll make more money this way. It's just what they do. Yeah, in some instances, you will make a few pennies more. In most cases, you will lose money. Now, I do believe that these shoppers have reason to believe that a strike will work, and they have a reason to feel so boisterous in this letter. They have a right to do so because Instacart has folded. They have apologized. In fact, they didn't even drag it out for months like DoorDash did. They pretty much did it right away, and this is what most companies want to avoid. The reason most companies don't just keel over and say, sorry, we made a mistake, we're going to fix this, is because the next time there's a grievance, it emboldens the employees to just do this again to get their way. Now, again, I'm not against the shoppers. I think they have every right to do this, and I support them. Instacart is no different from these other companies. They're not paying enough. They are taking way too much advantage of people. But of course, we know these companies are not profitable. So I think what the end game of all of this is eventually going to be is these companies are just going to end up folding. And I think they will continue with certain companies like Target and Walmart and Best Buy, maybe Fry's, maybe Albertsons, Safeway, basically any company that wants to compete with Amazon, they will have a service like this so that they can deliver merchandise from their warehouses and stores to people day of, therefore competing directly with Amazon. And these are the companies that know that it's not a moneymaker. These people will be employees and they will be on an hourly basis and they can collect some tips for their trouble. But they will take the loss to compete with Amazon. That's what these companies are going to become. They cannot stand on their own. Of course, I support the Instacart shoppers. I encourage them to do that. If any of you know of like any public demonstration in my area, let me know. I might try to go over and talk to some of you because I like going to protests. I like talking to people on the ground floor. But I mean, look, we're going to hear later on about Uber's earnings report, and I suspect they're going to lose between 1.5 to $2 billion. And this has been happening for a while. It's going to continue happening. You see, Target has shopped now. Has shopped. I believe that's what's called shopped. So, yeah. It's just, look, again, I will give the Instacart shoppers much, much more credit than all the Uber drivers. Yes, we've seen some protests from Uber drivers. Instacart shoppers are better at being organized. They're better at writing letters. They're better at making demands. And at least on the surface, it seems like they get results. So hopefully they can score another victory. And, hopefully those victories can eventually come on, spill over to other companies and other gig workers who are opposing their companies. So, this video has gone on a little long. I didn't expect to talk about it this much. I don't really deal with Instacart that much. I try, but usually Instacart's quiet. So this might be a very busy week for talking about Instacart news, which is fascinating. I didn't think that's what was going to happen when I came back from the honeymoon. So, there you have it. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave. There was another open letter here, but considering how long we've talked and considering this letter is addressed to the Instacart customers, I think I would like to have that be a separate video, and hopefully we can have our old visual style back. I mean, again, it's really weird doing it on the surface again, and it's just bizarre. But anyway, yeah. So I'm back safe and sound. We're back doing the videos. I have to have some dental work done Wednesday, so who knows what's gonna happen with the video schedule. Like I gotta go to the doctor today and get something checked out. It's concerning, but yeah, and I just can't sleep right now. So I figured I wasn't gonna make a video today. Figured I might as well. So anyway, yep, this video's gone on too long, and we're not gonna have the intro or anything. So I'd like to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for watching and putting up with my nonsense over the weekend. We're back to officially doing what we do best here, talking about the news, commenting on things. Also, Apple TV Plus just launched, so I might be giving my first impressions of that soon. Because after the doctor's appointment, me and Katie are gonna sit down and we're gonna check out some of the programming. So I'll let you know what I think of Apple TV Plus. In the meantime, what do all of you out there think about this Instacart stuff? I saw some of my fellow Uber tubers talking at great length, doing hour-long videos. So if there's some comfort that I know, it's this is being discussed quite feverishly by other people. So, I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Comment below, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. And yeah, it goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. You'll get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog also. And also, if gas prices are getting you just a little down, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, check out my other channels, Kevin T. Rodriguez, the Apptrepreneur Hangouts, no, Apptrepreneur Vlogs. It's been a while since I've done this, obviously. And Autograph Hound. And if you want to talk to me or other fellow Instacart shoppers in person, check out the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. I have to lean over and press the stop button now.